Join the team.
Mega Cheese Dog. Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and today we're going to take a look at another Kickstarter that is coming to us very soon. If you are watching this and it is before October the 17th, 2017, the Kickstarter has not started yet, and it will be hitting, I believe, tomorrow, because today is October the 16th. So it is hitting on October the 17th, 2017, which is tomorrow. Now, this is Mortals: Descent of the Gods. You can see there, this is a prototype version of the game. I'm not sure what we're going to see through the Kickstarter, so I don't want to speak to, any rule changes or, if we stay with the stand-ups or whatever happens to the Kickstarter. I'm not really sure on that, but I will say the way that the game looks now and the version that it, is kind of in right here looks pretty good. I actually really like the stand-ups in this game, and the artwork on these are really cool. I really like the artwork. It's got a very much of a comic book feel to it. It doesn't really look, I wouldn't say the artwork is where it looks, realistic. It's very much comic book style artwork. And we will load some video to see that up a little bit closer as we go over the components here that we've got on the board. Now, what's the premise of Mortals? So Mortals is you are all of these immortal gods of the past, and these gods just start to get sort of selfish in nature, and this really upsets Death. And Death actually takes their immortality away, and they basically fall to the earth and become mortal gods. So they are still very powerful, but they're not, what they would be prior to that. So let's talk about, yes, I know Bear. Bear claims to be one of these immortal gods. He claims to be one of these. I don't know. I know. Okay, we get it. You're one. All right. Unbelievable is what I have to deal with. Bear, load the video. Thank you. So now you can start seeing the overview of the game and some of the components. We're going to set this right down here to the side, and we will keep our book handy here to reference a couple things as we go through some of the rules. So I'm just going to do a quick spin around the table here, and I'm going to start right over here. So they do include these really cool clips, which are used to track the experience as well as the health on each one of your characters. You do have quite a few of what they call mythic monsters here, these larger stands. Here are all the characters that you're going to have in the game, again, plus these three that we've already selected for our setup and example for today. You are going to have 4 overarching major bosses that you'll fight, one of them being Death. And we'll talk about that actually today, but there are a few other as well. You've got the Kraken, which is another one of my favorites. So you will have 4 main bosses you can pick from. And then when it comes to the characters, again, you can see all the characters here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 characters that are included. And you will select from these characters when you start the game out. Now, one of the things that I really like about the character artwork as well as the design of this is the designer really brought this game into the real world. And what I mean by that is a lot of these items that you're able to acquire, we'll talk about that here in a second, they're very real world items, and we'll pull some of these out when we get to it. And I thought that was a good twist on the actual game or the items that you can get as well as the characters. So let's just, we'll run through the ones we selected here, and I'll show you what I mean. So when we look at these characters, I went with Zeus, Thor, and Artemis. And we look here, Zeus the electrician, Thor the contractor, and Artemis the hunter. And the artwork kind of goes right along with that. So you got Zeus sort of going for a power strike, and he's in his electrician's outfit. So really sort of personalizes each one of these, now mortal gods on Earth into something more of a human form, which I thought was an interesting twist on the theme of the game. I thought it was pretty funny, and they're all like that. So Poseidon the surfer, we've got there's Anubis the mortician. So these are just great. The way that they went around these characters. Horus the space ace. It's pretty funny. So what I'll do here is let's take a look at actually these character cards. You'll see that on every one of these cards here, We will have the character art. You will have your health tracker that's right here. So Poseidon here does have 6 points of health. It will also indicate that every time it's your turn, you'll get 2 actions and 2 moves. And we'll talk about how those work, but it lists it right up there for you. You're also going to get your attack action, which is here. And then as you level up, and you'll see this track down here, this symbol is the first one, which is just something you get for free right off the beginning of the game. But as you level up and you get experience points, you will hit these various icons here. When you hit the little wing, you now will be able to do this action. If you get all the way to the end, this is something called the God mode, which is very powerful for your various characters, and you'll get to use that as well. So you're probably not going to see these God modes until you get further into the game and maybe you're ready to fight the final destroyer, or you're just killing all these minions on the board to shut these gates down, and we'll talk more about that. But that's all that's going to be on this card. On the back is just the same kind of artwork, but that's all that it is on the front of the card. So it's a very simple mechanic. This game is very simple from a mechanics perspective. It plays very quick. You can learn it very quick. Here are our 4 main destroyer big bosses here. So you will have a stand-up. Once they do come out at the end of the game, you can put them on the tile, and they'll move around, they'll attack. So that's what that's for. Up front, you have a ton of little minion monster where you'll have ghouls and liches that are right up front. These are our item cards, and again, these items, and I'll just grab a few of them here, are hilarious. So display sign, reheated burrito, glitter, souvenir map, electric cart, which looks kind of like a Segway, cash register, souvenir bookmark, souvenir backpack, teddy bear. We've got bouncy balls, janitor's journal, a mega cheese dog. So, all of these items follow that same kind of look and feel, very kind of cartoony artwork on these cards. But I think that's just done really well, and it makes it kind of funny as you get these common items, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I've got a sign and a hot dog, and you can use those to do various things. So, for example, here is the board of skating, which is a skateboard. It allows you to gain 1 bonus move. Each one of these common items can only be used once, so once you acquire them, you use them, and then they're gone. Here we've got legendary items, so these are going to be much more powerful items and items that will align to mythology. So here we have, Thor's hammer, we've got Apollo's bow, we've got Thunder's edge, so it's all various things that would align to our heroes here. And some of them can only be used by certain characters, so every character either follows a melee character or a ranged character. I do have 2 melee characters and a ranged character. We'll talk about how those differ. Essentially, it's just you're going to be able to attack either right in the cell that you're in, or you're going to have some range and be able to attack. But that will come into play when you get to some of these items as well, on which ones can be actually utilized by which characters. So as you pick up legendary items, you're going to want to potentially trade those items with other players, and you can do that by being on the same cell and using an action. You can trade those legendaries if it's one that doesn't necessarily work good for you, but it might for another character. Again, we kind of went over our characters. We have those right here. We do have this 1 extra die that once you start to unlock those extra abilities, we talked about as you level up, and you're able to unlock this ability once you hit the wing here. Every time you want to use that, you do have to roll a die, and if you get a blank like I just did, because I notoriously roll 1s, there are 2 blank sides on this die. Nothing will happen and the action just fails. But if you were to roll it and get nothing again, if you were to roll it and get just a solid wing, then you can do the action that's indicated here with the wing. Or if you roll it, there we go, man, perfect for the example. We get a wing with this like starburst, which is the crit, which will allow you to do this action right under there. And it's just listed right on the card. It's very easy, and it just gives you something a little bit more powerful. So that's how that action works, and that's what this die is for. We'll move right down here. This is the monster spawn deck. I'll show you how that works when we get into gameplay here. This is the round counter. Now, how many ever rounds are in the game will depend on how many players are actually playing. These little D12s right here, which I think is a great component, are actually used to track the health of mythic monsters, because those will have a little bit more health than your standard 1 hit point on your liches here and your ghouls. Those are just 1 hit point hit them once, boom, they're gone. These guys are going to have to track the health over time. These red die are going to be used to spawn the monsters on the board. And this final red die is going to be used when your big destroyer, your big baddie at the end comes out if you run out of rounds and are not able to destroy all of these various seals that are within the museum that we're going to be playing in. And these tiles can be put down in any order. You'll kind of shuffle them up when you start the game and place them down in any order that they come out, or you can choose what that looks like. It's completely up to you. So that's how that die works, and it goes right along with the card here, which is very easy. If you roll it, you get nothing. Nothing happens when you fight the boss. If you roll it and you get the skull, this happens. You roll it, get the skull with the crit, this happens. And it really is that easy. Now, the boss will still get its actions over the course of the game, but this is a new phase that's added to our 3 phases that we go through normally, which will give the boss a little bit extra power when you're fighting him. And these are pretty powerful bosses. If you are alive when they come out and you have to battle this boss, you want to kill it very quickly and not try to just, move it around the board or try to get strategic. I mean, you really just want to get on this boss and kill it because it does have a lot of hit points and it will kill your characters very fast. So, how do you win? You win by killing each one of these seals before your rounds run out. Now, for a 3-player game, you will have 10 rounds you'll be able to go through. I like to set up a 3-player when I do these examples. So we will have 10 rounds to be able to kill each one or shut each one of these seals in the museum. If we're not able to by round 10, then our big monster, and let's just say we chose Death for this one to battle Death himself, will come out and then be on the board, as well as any other monster that may have already been there. Now, there is one thing you're going to do. Every time you do close a gate, you'll want to, watch that and track that once you get down to the 1 there, and you'll just use your pips there on the die to track when you do damage to that gate. So it's nice that they used a D6 for that. Every seal does have a 6 hit points. That many hit points will come off of the boss. So if you were to close 4 of the 6 here, you'd have 4 times 6, which would be 24, and you would take 24 hit points off of the boss when the boss came out. Now, you can look up for every boss. It is the same, but it will depend on how many players are playing. So for 3, I believe the boss has 70 hit points, so you would take that 24 off of the 70, and then that's how many hit points you would start with. So you do get some credit for closing these gates down, and that's a mechanic that I really like with this particular game, is that it isn't just you're either trying to close the gates or kill a bunch of monsters and wait for this guy to come out and battle him and see if you can take him because you've got enough legendary items or enough common items or enough health or whatever it is. You really do get credit for shutting these gates down. I would say your primary goal is to shut these seals down and close them, and that's what you need to really be going for. But if you're not able to do that before your rounds run out, at least gets you something against the primary boss. And, to have 70 health points right out of the gate, that's a lot of health points for 3 players to take on, especially when you just get those 2 attack actions. Now, by that point, you are going to have these more powerful free actions. You might even have the God mode by then, depending on how many minions and monsters you've killed over the course of gameplay. So, I do feel like it's balanced pretty well, especially when, the main boss is going to lose some hit points when they come out, because they are powerful and they have a lot of actions. All right, Bear, let's do this. We're going to get into gameplay. Now, you will start off with putting, again, our seals in each one of the tiles right in the center, and you'll want to go with a little seal symbol up to show that it is a nice, fresh seal that's there. Now, to start the game, you are going to select a first player, and that player can be the person that most recently visited a museum, or you can roll a die, however you want to do that. You are then going to spawn monsters on the boards. That's phase 1. You're going to spawn, and you're going to roll these little red dice to spawn. Now, you roll as many of these as you're playing with characters. Let's say, for example, we have 3. So I'll grab 3 of these red dice, and I will take them, and I will roll them. And I got a 1, a 2, and a 3. A 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, you can spawn in any order that you would like to. So I'll just go ahead and spawn tile number 2. So you'll look here, and each one of these tiles you have a number. Here's tile number 2. I will go here and draw a card. So tile number 2 gets 3 ghouls. So I'll go here, grab my ghouls, and they will start right here on this tile. That would be that one. This would then get discarded. We then, let's spawn tile number 1, which is here. All right, that get, ooh, okay, this, we got a one of these mystic, a harder kind of minion monster that we got drawn here, the Sphinx. So Master of Portals, when spawned, immediately draw an additional monster spawn for the same space. This does not count as one of the round spawns. Okay, so we're going to look here and we're going to find the Sphinx, which is right here, and the Sphinx will spawn here. Per the spawning rule, we will grab another card, and it gets 2 ghouls that gets discarded. So we'll go here and we'll grab 2 of our ghouls. We will put it there with the Sphinx as well. And then this card will be tracked, so we'll set that down there. We will grab one of our nice little D12s here, and it says our Sphinx has 7 health. That's just indicated right here on the card, and then here's the text. That's all you'll find on these cards. And then we will put this on 7. I'm having a hard time finding the 7. Where is the 7? Why is the 7 eluding me? What is going on here? Okay, here's the 7. All right, it's for some reason the paint on this die didn't show the 7. So there's a 7. We'll put that right on the heart, and then as we do damage to this, we'll just move that die around to be able to track that. Now you will get some more experience points by killing these larger monsters versus the minions. Minions are just going to get you 1. Minions and liches are just going to get you 1 experience point. Killing one of these big guys is going to get you 3, and shutting down a seal is going to get you 3. So those are what's going to give you a little bit more experience points. And again, this is a very much a cooperative game. You could play this game by yourself if you wanted to. You would just want to play more than one character. You want to play at least, I would say, you know, I would play at least 3 characters, even if you were playing by yourself. And, you know, you're going to just traverse kind of around the board. You'll change out weapons, which makes sense. So you don't necessarily have to have other people to play this game. You can solo play this game if you want to, because at heart it is a cooperative game. So pretty much any cooperative game you can pretty much solo. So I do play it. I've played it just by myself. And I like that experience playing it by myself as well. But it is fun to play this with others too, because, you know, you're all sort of going in and taking your turn and battling. And okay, we got our last spawn here, which is a 3, which is right here. We're going to draw our card, and it gets 3 ghouls. So we'll come here, 1, 2, 3, and we'll put those right there. Now our spawning phase is done. We can take these off the board. Now we're going to do the player phase, which is where we're going to get to move. At the very beginning of this game, we would have rolled 1 die, and that would have showed us where we started. We rolled a 3. So we'd find 3, which is right here, and you always come down into the square that has each square has 1 tile that's like a big, you know, impact crater. So these 3 will come and start right there. All characters will start together. And now, starting with the first player and going around the table, you will get 2 moves and 2 actions. And you can do those in any order. So you can move, attack, move, attack. You can attack, attack, move, move. You can move, move, attack, attack. But you can only do 2 of each one of those. So you can't attack 4 times. You can't. It's not like you have 4 actions. You have 2 moves and 2 actions. And you can use those in any order that you would like to do so. So let's just say that I started here with my Artemis, and I wanted to, you know, there's some walls here you can see, so you can't cross through walls. You can't move diagonally. You know what I'm going to do? And Artemis is ranged, and let's look at her range to see. She is ranged of 1 to 2. So I can attack 1 to 2 spots away with line of sight. And she's got the trick shot, which says roll 2 dice, deal 1 damage for each +3 Artemis attacks, ignore line of sight. So that is the trick shot, which means ignore line of sight. So that's pretty awesome. That means she can attack 1, 2, so she can attack these monsters. And she will roll 2 dice and deal 1 damage for each thing that is greater than 3. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take an attack. Now, if it's ranged, you do have to do an attack by priority. You may be saying, well, why don't you just go ahead and attack that seal? Well, I probably would do that if I had a melee character. So melee ignores priority. If a melee character, like Thor or Zeus, got in there, they could just start waylaying on that seal. They can ignore these ghouls here. But a ranged character has to go by priority, which means we would have to take these guys out before we could attack that seal. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say that Artemis was our first character, and I'm going to take an attack action, and I'm going to roll 2 of the dice, as it says right here. And anything greater than 3, I've only got 1. Okay, so that will kill 1 of these guys, so I take it away. That will give me 1 experience point. Make sure I remember to do that. For my second action, I will attack again into that space. And there we go, 2 crits, kill both of these guys because those are both over 3. That was pretty awesome. And that's my second action. Now I can move twice as well. So I'm actually going to move 1, 2. I'm going to stay right here because remember, anytime monsters spawn within an area, they will spawn in this middle part and then start to move out. So I'm going to be right there because I can't attack anymore for this turn, and that kind of positions me with a nice trick shot again into that area. So I'm going to stay there, and that would be Artemis's turn. And then what I would do is go to Thor. So Thor is going to go 1, 2, and then take 2 actions to attack into the seal. So we'll look at Thor's attack here, and it says roll 3 dice, deal 1 damage for each +3. So he gets to roll 3 dice, and that's 1, 2, 3 hit points, dropping us to 3. Very nice. And I'm going to take my second action, my second attack, and get 1 more hit against that, dropping it to 2. So we've almost really closed this seal right on this round, and maybe we will. So now we're going to go for Zeus. We're going to do 1, 2. He's also melee, and let's see if we can close this one up. Roll 3 dice, deal 1 damage for each. We're going to do that. Boom. We get 1, 2 damage, which is a kill, and it closes it off. So this seal is now closed. I like to just take that, and we're just going to set it right over here for closing one of those seals, and it is now closed down. Now, Zeus was the one that actually made the close on that seal, so he is the only one that will get the experience points for that, and that will be 3. So we'll go 1, 2, 3 experience points up for Zeus, and Thor did not get any because Thor was not able to actually close that. And that's how that works. Now, I did forget, as you do kill monsters on your turn, if you do any type of damage to a monster or a seal, you will get to draw 1 common item card at the end of your actions. So all 3 of my characters there actually did damage, with Artemis killing all 3 of our ghouls. You don't get 3, you just get 1 card. So if you do any type of damage, you get a card. So Artemis would get a card, and she got the Extendosaurus. All melee attacks become range of 0 and 1, which doesn't really do a lot for her, so you might want to trade this with another character. You do have to be on the same spot to trade, and common items you can trade as many as you want. The legendary items you do have to actually use an action to trade. So that would be her card. And then what would Thor have gotten? Probably a knife. Reroll 1 die for a melee attack. He can use that good. And then the Board of Skating, which gain 1 bonus move for Zeus. So that would be a card that he'll have. Now, we are done with that round of actions, and again, starting off early in the game, those were some good rolls. We were able to close this tile and seal off pretty quickly, which is good. That doesn't always happen, definitely doesn't always happen, but we got lucky on that round, and that went well for us. So now we're going to go into the monster phase, when the rest of the monsters are going to react. Now, monsters are simple. They can either move or attack. And they're basically going to go for the characters that are within line of sight or are closest to them. And you can see that they're going to start trying to target and move through this way because they can actually see these characters right here. Because this is a corner, it's not a wall between these tiles, and they can see them. So our ghouls are going to get 2 action points. Our liches up here are going to get 3. Our mythic more characters here are going to go 3, and our bosses are going to get 6. So it really does scale up fast. So these guys are going to get 2. So they're going to go 1, 2, and that's all they can do. They'll just use all their movement until they get to someone, and then they'll attack if they have more. And they're each going to do that. So 1, 2, and 1, 2. Those were those guys are going to go. These guys here can't really see anyone, so they'll just kind of try to move to the closest of where someone is if they can't have line of sight. So these guys will go 1, 2, 1, 2, and then this guy here has 3, so he'll go 1, 2, 3, and he'll stop right there. And none of the monsters were able to attack. And that is the end of the monster phase. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to up our rounds. That would have been round 1. Everybody went. We went through all the phases. We are now on round 2, starting round 2. We're going to just go ahead and start with that first phase, which is spawning. And you may think, well, that was a pretty easy round, and I like how this game does really scale up. That was a very easy round, but trust me, as you start getting deeper into these rounds, this is going to become more and more difficult as you continue to spawn. And I'll just show you a quick spawn here. So we got 6, 6, and 1. So let's just go ahead and go with 6, which is right here. Go ahead and draw that. We got 5 ghouls. Ouch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's nasty. We're going to go another 6. We'll just stay there. That's going to get spawned 3 more ghouls. 1, 2, 3. Now look at all these guys. Now we got 1. We'll spawn 2 ghouls. A lot of ghouls coming out here. So 1 is going to be right here. And now we will have this many little monsters that are on the board that we're going to need to deal with. So on our next turn, you can see how quickly now Artemis and Thor and Zeus are going to have to deal with these guys that are right on top of them. Remember, we've only got 5 to 6 hit points here, so you really have to be tactical every time it's your turn. And that's what I really like about this particular title is you do have to tactically think through every move, because if you don't, you're gonna end up dying. Because if you do have at least one character that dies before the end and before the big baddie comes out, you do lose the game. Now, after he comes out, or any of the monsters that you fight here at the end, you can start to lose characters in that final battle. As long as you have one standing, you can still win the game. But if anybody dies before they come out, game over. And that does get to be very difficult. And what you'll find is a lot of times characters that are low on health, you're going to be looking and getting those items that give health, and you're going to be trying to like group up and pass off an item and get somebody healed. Some of the items do heal up. Or you're going to be playing this defense mode where you're getting characters out of the way and you're trying to play defense and kill stuff and protect a character to be able to get to that final boss round and maybe do a little bit of damage before this character croaks. So that's a mechanic that I do really like on this title. Is I do find that it does scale very well, and you do have to really think through your tactical moves from round to round. So that is Immortals. Again, it is that simple. It's a simple game, but it does have a lot of good mechanics that I like, and it has a lot of high tactics that you're going to have to use every single round. And I don't know that I would really categorize this one in getting into the strategy side of things. It is very tactical for me, and that is because every time you spawn on every round, you don't really know where these spawns are going to come up. And you might be dealing with this horde of like this right here. You could be dealing with this horde of monsters, and then you got another one that spawns up right behind you where it might have been blank, and you might have thought, well, this is where I'm going to run next time, or at the end of your turn you might have ran that way, and the next thing you know, a big spawn happens there. So that's what makes it fun, is you have to sort of balance as all of that stuff is sort of happening to you as you go over the course of game. So great artwork, great character design. I love the fact of how the items are designed. This is definitely something that I do recommend if you like these lighter, more tactical. I would consider this kind of a crawler. But if you do like these lighter tactical type games, this is definitely recommended. I definitely would pick this up. Again, it's hitting Kickstarter October the 17th, 2017. So if you want this, Mortals, go check it out. You'll find the link in the description below once the Kickstarter hits. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team, ring the bell. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time. Mortals!